on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about vintage lenses. Now this is a video that's very different than anything I've done so far. I've been putting this video aside for a while because I didn't feel I could explain it the way I needed to, the way that I should be explaining it. But I'm going to try to do my best. So I'm going to just list off some lenses that you could use right now with your Lumix G7, GH4. It doesn't matter if you have a Sony Nex or a Canon. It does not matter. You can use these lenses with the proper adapter to go onto your camera. So I'm just going to run through what I use and what is very useful, so maybe you won't go out there and waste your money on other vintage lenses that you won't get much use out of. The first one I'm going to talk about is this one right here, and I love this. This is one of my first vintage lenses. This is a Canon FD lens. This is a 28mm f2.8 vintage lens. This is beautiful. It was almost mint condition when I bought it, and it is just absolutely awesome. It gives me a nice wide field of view, but not too much. Now, take in consideration, anytime you're using not only a vintage lens, but any other kind of lens on, let's say, a Lumix G7 or GH4, you're going to have a 2x crop factor. So this 28 millimeter turns more into almost a 60 to about 58 to 57 millimeter. Even with this focal reducer on the back. Now this focal reducer, I have to have it, because if I don't have this focal reducer right here and I try to use a regular adapter, say like this one right here, the zoom in would be so crazy that I wouldn't really be able to use it. I could use it maybe as a zoom lens, but I would never really be able to use it for anything else, which would really suck. So it's very important to grab one of these. They go by turbo booster, focal reducers. They go by different names, but it's basically just a piece of glass, a glass element in here that's going to magnify the element on the back of the FD lens and give you basically as close to possible as a regular lens going onto your camera. But I love this 28mm. It served me very, very well, and I use it more than probably any of my other lenses, except for this wide angle that I'll get up to next. But I love this 28mm. I highly recommend it. It is awesome. Next on the list is going to be, like I said, my wide zooms. I just got this one. This is also a Canon FD vintage lens. This is made by a company called Phoenix. They also produce these under Samyang and other companies. This is a 19 to 35mm 3.5 f-stop to 4.5 f-stop. And this is not going to give you the best low light at all. It's basically giving you the same f-stop you're going to get, say, from your kit lens. But I've gotten some great stellar shots with this outside in the daytime or in studio light. I've even used this in a concert I went to 2 months ago, and I got some amazing pictures and amazing video from this wide angle lens. I got this lens brand new in the box for $70 off of eBay. Definitely try to find this lens, 19 to 35mm wide angle lens. Very awesome. Again, this has a focal reducer on it. I have 2 focal reducers, so I can switch out my cameras so I don't have to take the focal reducer out every time. I have the focal reducer on my most popular lenses that I use the most, which would be this one, and like I said, the 28mm Canon FD that I have over here. So, next on the wide angle lens, or this isn't really wide angle, this is more like a wide zoom, kind of, not really, but this is another Canon FD. This is a 35 to 105 3.5 constant aperture. So this will not lose aperture as you zoom in and out. It will use the same constant aperture, zoomed in at 35 or zoomed out to 35 or zoomed into 105. It will always have a 3.5 f-stop aperture. Very big, it's huge, it's heavy, but I love this lens. I used this lens for so much before I got this Phoenix lens. And honestly, I love the 28 so much, I kind of forget about this 35 to 105, even though I think it's great. Another thing about this, it's parfocal. So if I zoom in and I zoom out, I'm not going to lose focus. I will keep the same focus no matter if I zoom in or out all the way. That's what parfocal is. This lens is parfocal, and it's awesome. Another great feature, this has macro on it, so I can get very, very close to products, to my subject, insects, anything, text on a book. I can get right up close to it with that macro on here, which is great. So this is a very versatile lens. It's just when you have that 2 times crop factor, it really kills it. Now, if you had this on, say, a full frame camera, fucking amazing. If you had this maybe on like a A7R or A7S or anything like that, or even if you had this on maybe a Next camera, which is an APS-C sensor, you're still going to get a little bit more wider on that 35 than you would on, say, the Lumix G7 that has the 2 time crop factor, which really kills most of these lenses because it's going to zoom in too much. But I love this thing. And talking about it zoom too much, I have a 50 millimeter 1.8 aperture Canon FD lens, which is beautiful, but I can't really use it with my Lumix because it turns into 100 millimeter, and it's just like, what am I going to do with it? Now, that could really be this awkward kind of portrait lens. You can maybe use it for portraits. That could definitely work. You're talking about 100 millimeter 1.8 f-stop aperture, which is unheard of. So that is, people hate the 2 times crop factor, but if you're doing portraits or, if you're shooting something far away, it actually comes in handy. So next is going to be a telephoto lens. You can get these for so dirt cheap. It is fucking ridiculous. I think I got this for $7. This is a Sigma. I believe this is a 70 to 200, a 70 to 210. This is another one I got. This is a Tamron. This is an 85 to 210. So dirt cheap. I got this for $8. I think I got this for $7. Super dirt cheap. Now, when you put your focal reducer, like I've been using on my wide angles, on these, it's insane. Plus the 2 times crop factor, this is turning into a 160 to 400 millimeter. Think about that. That is crazy. So this is great if you're shooting wildlife, or if you're very far away, if you're at a sporting event. You can really get some sick shots with these because you're going to be able to zoom in up to 400 millimeters, unless you use a Metabones speed reducer or something like that. That's really going to bring the lens back to its original, or close as they can to the original focal length. But it's awesome. It's awesome to use these in conjunction with that 2 times focal length, because you can really exploit that in something like the 2 times crop factor, which was like almost a crutch, which is almost holding you back sometimes. Use it to your advantage. So if you are one of those people that are shooting sports or shooting something from far away, and you grab a telephoto lens like one of these two, it's insane. It's just going to be absolutely insane. Next is an honorable mention. These are Russian lenses. This one is called a Helios, and it is I believe what is it? It is sorry, I totally forgot what this is. A 58 millimeter. Now, when I use this on my Canon T4i, it was beautiful. When I use this on my Sony a6000 or Nex 7, it was beautiful. But when I put this on my Lumix G7 with that 2 times crop factor, it turns into this portrait lens. It turns into this zoom lens. So it kind of sucks. But honestly, if you do have an APS-C size sensor, or if you have a full-size cropped sensor, or full-size sensor, if you have a full-size sensor or APS-C size sensor, this lens is fucking beautiful. I've heard a lot of people say this is their favorite lens, and I'm telling you right now, if I could use this with my Lumix G7 without it being extremely zoomed in, this would be my #1 lens. This would be my favorite lens. The color you get out of this is just absolutely beautiful. It's vivid. It is amazing. Now, there's also another one I have that I'm not going to show off. It's called the 1B8 or something like that. I can't even remember. It's a wide-angle lens, but I barely ever use it because I have other ones. I don't even remember the name. It could be a Jupiter. I don't even know what it is because I've got into the Russian lenses and I haven't touched them in years. But I do want to bring this up about this Helios because I fucking love this lens, and I believe if you do have a bigger size sensor on your camera, you can get magnificent pictures out of this, and it is absolutely such a sharp and beautiful lens. The Russians really did make beautiful lenses back in the day. I highly suggest this for an APS-C or full frame camera. The Helios 58 millimeter. It is absolutely just beautiful. I love this. It says 44 on it, but it's not a 44 millimeter. But this is absolutely beautiful. It could be a 44. It's been so long since I've used this and actually researched these things. I ordered this from the Ukraine. It took a little over a month to get here, but it was in mint condition and it was so beautiful. Guys, be careful if you do order this from Russia or the Ukraine. You can get stuck with a broken lens or one that's not as good as you thought it was, and good luck trying to get it a replacement or a refund. It's gonna suck when you're getting shit from across the country or across the world. Actually, it's gonna be insane when you get it from another country. But I cannot say enough about this. It is a beautiful lens, guys. Definitely check out the Phoenix 19-35 FD lens. Awesome. Also, the 35-105 Canon, again on a APS-C size sensor or full frame. Fucking amazing, must-have. Great lens. Another must-have for me, even with the 2x crop factor, is the Canon 22 or 28mm 2.8. Amazing, amazing lens. But guys, don't forget, you're probably gonna want one of these focal reducers, these turbo boosters, whatever you want to call them, to kind of help you bring that focal length back. But guys, thank you so much for sitting through this video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Let me know. But if you like this stuff and like this kind of camera talk and want to see more videos like this and want to be notified when more videos come onto the channel, definitely feel free to subscribe. I really appreciate it. Until next time, guys, peace out and have fun.